welcome today here at the Slush event. I'm happy to meet so many people of you here who are interested in the topic of blockchain technology. And today I will present you in 15 minutes a definition of blockchain and our evaluation scheme at BearingPoint when the use of blockchain really makes sense. At last 3 use cases we supported. So I know that in the crypto scene the opinions differ what really a blockchain is and what not. But I think we bring a very broad definition. So we say it has 3 attributes. It's chained, sets of data are chained, the data is distributed, and the data is encrypted. And you can find it in the synonymous words for blockchain. You say distributed ledger, you say crypto token. So these 3 attributes are what a blockchain are. And you know this from your practical life. Even a contract with pages has a number of pages, and if the binding of the contract is sealed by a notary, so it's chained, you cannot put a page out of it. Distributed. If I speak here publicly, that's the principle of public statement. I cannot put the information out of the distributed heads of you. So that's the same thing what happens in the computer world when the data is distributed and data is encrypted. So you know this since the antiquity that you can encrypt a message, and that just the receiver who has the key to encrypt it can read it. So this has the advantages that you can have data secure against manipulation, but also fluently to send to other people. So we hadn't this with an email. It was easy to manipulate an email. So now we can combine secureness with transferability. And compared to a conventional database, it's completely different. So of course you also have advantages with the conventional database. You easily can change data, you know it, and so on. And as I will show, you can combine both principles. So, but first, look at this classification scheme. What is blockchain? It's a peer-to-peer cloud. So before blockchain we had a gap that the physical hosting environment is on-prem and also public. Now I can have both. The nodes are distributed, everybody's running a node, and everybody can use it. So that's blockchain. It's nothing new if you have a look at this classification scheme. It's a part of cloud computing, a very old word. So, and here you can say what is possible. If you think about the Know Your Customer process, which is really expensive for banks, so why don't use banks' trusted identities from other banks? It's possible with the blockchain technology. Think if Bank A is just referencing a set of data in the blockchain, not the original data. Professor Fabian Scher will later show us an example of this. And but the original data stays at Bank A and at the client. And if the client wants to transfer his personal data to Bank B, Bank B can check if it's really trusted data by Bank A by comparing it to the fingerprint on the blockchain. And why the blockchain? Because the blockchain is public and you cannot manipulate it, everybody can trust this system. So now we came to the question, when does the use of blockchain make sense? So as I said, it can combine secureness against manipulation with transferability. So if you need both, it makes sense. And if you cannot really trust a central authority. So what would be ideal use cases? For example, digital identity. If it's just about my name, address, I can trust the government, that's okay. But what if it becomes more health data, financial data, and all this stuff? We do not want to depend with all our data on just one central authority. So a distributed solution could be the way to solve this problem and to combine the use of data with the secureness of data and big data. Yeah, we have our blockchain opportunity online test. You can put in your use cases and see if they make sense for blockchain or not. So now here a comparison between decentral classical service databases and central service and the blockchain technology. And the message of this is just you can combine the advantages of both without the disadvantages. And that's blockchain technology. So now I show 3 blockchain use cases we supported as a consulting firm. It's True Budget, Abacus DIT, and loan platform. I start with True Budget. It's done by the German Development Bank, and they finance developed projects like building schools in Africa and so on. And many parties are involved in such a project. And these parties want to have sovereignty on their data. They don't want to put all their data in Germany. They want to store their data self-sovereign. So, but they are doing a project together internationally. So they don't want to have a central database, but they need trusted data. So the blockchain is a solution for them. They use it. And this is a project management tool, a workflow management tool. You can put in workflow steps. And for example, the assessor has the job in a workflow step to confirm that the fundament of the school is ready. And then the next workflow step would be to give the next tranche of a credit to build on the school. And so you have trusted data. That's also the name of this tool, True Budget, from Trusted Budget. The next one is our own prototype, our own regulatory reporting solution on blockchain. We have won the Central Banking Award this year for that. And that's the same idea. Banks are reporting about their businesses to the central authority, to the ECB. And yeah, but nobody, you believe just these banks. And it's quite expensive to organize this reporting. So think about Bank A or Bank 1 and Bank 2 are doing a business, and they are doing the business on the blockchain, and the business is automatically reported to the regulator. And the regulator maybe even is running a node in the system. And just the data the regulator needs to know is transferred to the regulator and not everything. And the regulator has confirmed data. He knows it's not just reported data, it's the data about the real business, which is contracted and driven on the blockchain. And this could be a solution to reduce cost of bureaucracy and also the quality of data better and make our financial system more secure. Now, a third use case, it's a marketplace for so-called challanges. I translated it with bundled loans. So enterprises can issue loans and investors could buy it without a central marketplace, and the business is referenced on a blockchain. So for example, if the investor later wants to sell this Schuldschein, he can show the buyer that it's an original by giving him the opportunity to compare it with the reference on the blockchain. So the market gets more liquid, more trusted, without an extra middleman. That's the idea of this tool. And the second advantage is if you want to take this loan and give it to someone else as a security, for example to the central bank, also this institution can check the originality of this Schuldscheindarlehen by comparing it to the reference on the blockchain. So this tool also helps to make the market more liquid, to reduce the costs, and to make it more secure. So these are our use cases. We also have supported many more blockchain projects. These are three which you can find in the public media. So I had the opportunity to demonstrate it to you today. And yeah, I would be happy to hear some questions from you. And yeah, here you have the opportunity to pose questions. And I'm interested to hear it and to answer your questions. Thank you.
So, do we have any questions from the audience?
Hi. I didn't hear that you have any preferences about which protocol or which DLP.
Yeah, the true budget solution is an own development and is based on JavaScript. And JavaScript is used as well as in the back end as in the front end, and also for the API between back end and front end. So I think it's a good decision because there are many programmers who are able to use JavaScript. And my personal experiences, because you ask about the source code and the technique behind it, my personal experience is 80% of a blockchain project is functional development and consulting, 20% is programming, and from the programming part, 80% is classical programming, front end, convenience, API, to the back end of the blockchain, but maybe also to other IT systems. And just 20% of the programming part is really blockchain. So it does not differ so much from other IT projects. And yeah, that's an answer to your question.
Do we have any further questions from the audience? I have one question for you, since you are coming from the different market and we are operating here in the Nordics, so in the Central Europe, and in your markets, based on your experience, so what kind of priorities blockchain has currently on the leading banks' agenda?
So in which areas it is used first?
Yeah, or in general.
I think it's no coincidence that the technology is has its first step into the market in the financial sector, and in the case of money, if you think of Bitcoin as first use case, because money, you can run money just virtually, and the next big step will be digital identity. It's more complicated because you have to connect virtual data about identity with the real identities. So the blockchain can bring you trusted data, and the data is secure, but it says you nothing about the real things the data say about it. And that's why other use cases came later, like also tracking supply chains and so on. And digital identity is now the next big thing on blockchain, and the focus is on it in Europe, because in each business you need identities. You cannot normally, we talked about trust. Even if people make contracts on the blockchain, they want to know with who they make it. They want to know the humans or the firms. The next thing where the focus is on is digital identity, especially also because there's a high competition from China and from USA with Libra, for example. They also would bring digital identity and connect it with the possibility to transfer money. And so in the European area and also in Germany, the focus is on this topic.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ralph.